So today I'm going to show you how to write an equation of a line in slope-intercept form when not given an equation. Okay, so how to write that equation. So if you have the slope and the y-intercept, then you're just going to fill in your m and your b into the slope-intercept form, which is y equals mx plus b. If you don't have m or b, then you're going to have to find them. Okay, so let's start with when we're given both, because that's a nice, easy situation. So write an equation of a line with slope of 3 and a y-intercept of -5. So remember, it's y equals mx plus b, okay? And the slope is 3, so that's the m, and your b is -5, and then I'm just going to fill it in. Y equals, instead of m, I've got 3 this time. So it's 3x plus, and then my b, which is -5. And voila, you did it. Okay, so next up, we've got a graph of a line. Okay, so I start with my y-intercept. So if I could see my y-intercept, I'm just going to pull it out. So -1, oh, there's my y-intercept, it's -2. Okay, now I need to find the slope. So that's rise over run. So let's see how much we rose. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, so that's up 4. And then it's over 1, 2, 3. Okay, so 1, 2, 3. So it's up 4 over 3. So 4 over 3. Okay, if I could reduce it, I could go ahead and reduce it, but I don't have to. So remember, it's y equals mx plus b, and I'm just going to plug it in. So y equals 4/3 x plus -2. Okay. Now, what happens if this wasn't a nice y-intercept, or you couldn't see the y-intercept? So if you can't see the y-intercept, pick any point, and we're going to follow the steps in this next column. So let's figure out what we do. Okay. So actually, let's write that down right now. So if we can't see the y-intercept, meaning the y-intercept is between two numbers, it is between two numbers, or it's off the grid. Okay, so let's find out what we do in that case. Okay, pause the video if you don't have this yet and write it down. Okay, write the equation of the line that passes through 6, -3 and has a slope of -2. So I know the slope is -2, and one of my points, I have an x and I have a y. So the x was 6 and my y was -3. So I'm going to plug it all into slope-intercept form. So y this time is -3. X this time is 6. Oh, I'm sorry. It's versus b. B this time is -2. X this time is 6. Because they're right next to each other, I'm going to put it in parentheses. And then we've got our b that we don't know. Okay, and now I'm just going to solve for b. So I got to distribute this. So I have -3 equals -12 plus b. And then get b alone. So I'm going to add 12 to both sides. So I have 9 equals b. Okay. Once I've got that, I'm just going to use y equals mx plus b again. Okay, and I knew the slope before was -2. So it's still the slope. So I've got y equals -2x plus 9. And remember, I knew the slope was -2 because they gave it to us in this problem. Okay. So it's y equals -2x plus 9. Okay. So, or we can use point slope form. Okay. So what point slope form says, it's y minus y1 equals m times the quantity x minus x1. And this y and x stay in the equation, so don't change these two. And the x1 and the y1, these two are what we're plugging in. Plug in. So, and we're going to plug in m. So this time we had the point 6, -3, and we had the slope -2. So if that's the case, we know the slope. So m is -6, and that would make x1 6 and y1 -3. Now here's the deal. If you don't want to remember an extra equation, don't use this form. You don't have to. Okay, this is only if you would prefer to use it. You don't have to. So I'm going to plug it in this equation up here. So y I've got minus y1, which is -3, equals m, which is -6, times x minus x1, which was 6. Oops, the slope was Did I write down the slope wrong? I'm sorry, you guys. This is -2. This is -2. Okay, so I'm going to distribute. So I've got y minus -3 equals -2x plus 12. Okay, and then this is minus a -3, so I'm going to change those to pluses because minus a negative becomes plus. And then I'm going to move the 3 to the other side. And I put it under the 12 because it was its like term. So I got y equals -2x plus 9. And hey, look, that's the same equation I got up here. So do you see how I got the same equation for both of them? And I did them 2 different ways? That's why it works right there. Okay, so last one is given 2 points, okay? Not M or B. So you got to write the equation of the line that passes through 1, 6 and 3, -4. Okay, so we're going to start by labeling our coordinates and using change of y over change of x to get M. So what this means is we're using the slope formula. So we're going to use this. Okay, so let's start by labeling our points. So we've got 1, 6, and we've got 3, 4. And it honestly doesn't matter which one's 0.1 and which one's 0.2. I'm just going to say this one's 0.1. So that means that's x1 and this is y1. This one's x2 and y2. Now I'm going to plug it into the equation. So it's y2, which is this one, 4, minus y1, which is 6, over x2, which is 3, minus x1, which is 1. And this is going to give us the slope. So I'm going to write that too. Now if I do this, 4 minus 6 is -2, and 3 minus 1 is +2. Okay, so I can simplify that. -2 over 2 is actually -1. And I want to make sure I did that right because now it's looking crazy. Did I write down the point wrong? I did. This was a -4. I apologize. -4. Okay, so that's actually going to give us a -10. Okay, so that's -10. Okay, -10 divided by 2 is actually -5. I apologize. Okay. So now that we have M, we're going to do what we just did in the last column. So we knew M was -5, and we're just going to pick a point. Doesn't matter which one. I'm going to pick 1, 6 because I didn't already mess up that point. Okay, and I'm going to just plug them into the equation so that y equals mx plus b. So M is -5. Okay, x is 1. I'm just going to put it in parentheses because it's right next to M. And then I have plus b. Ooh, and I forgot y. Y was 6. Okay, so now that kind of looks like a G. That's a 6. Okay, so now I'm going to simplify this. So I'm going to distribute. So I got 6 equals -5 plus b. I got +5 plus 5. And I got 11 equals b. So once I have that, I just plug it back into my y equals mx plus b. Remember, M was -5. So I got y equals -5x plus 11. Okay. If you don't like doing this way, again, you could use your y minus y1 equals m times the quantity x minus x1. That works as well. Remember, we decided m was -5, and let's just use the same points, 1 and 6. If you wanted, you could use the other points and you would still get the same answer. So it's going to be x1 and this is going to be y1. Just like before, we don't change the x and y, okay, and we change everything else. Okay, so y minus y1 this time is 6 equals m, which is -5, times x, which is 1. Or I'm sorry, just x. Don't change it. What am I talking about? X minus x1, which is 1. Okay. Now I'm going to distribute. So I've got -5x. -5 times -1 is +5. Okay. And I still have my y minus 6 here. Okay. To get y by itself, I'm going to add 6 to both sides. So I got y equals -5x plus 11. Okay, and let's check. Was that the same as before? It was. Hey, it worked out. Okay, please let me know if you have any questions. I'm sorry that I was so glitchy today and messed up numbers. So come to me if you have any questions now, please. Okay, enjoy.